Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between MYM's Sase versus ESC Goody. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been telling me not to cast any of the Goody games and that he doesn't win any games, and we'll see if this changes in this particular series. Hopefully it does. So here we have Goody spawning as the purple Terran player at the 2 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have Sase, MYM, Meet Your Makers, Sauce. I keep on wanting to say saucy. It's like, why would you ever name yourself, hey, I'm saucy? Yeah, that sounds wrong on so many levels. So Sase spawning as the pretty in pink Protoss here on Tal'Darim Altar. Tal'Darim Altar, one of those maps that is not an official Blizzard map, but I have cast the games in the past on this map. There is no ramp to your natural expansion. There is an expansion point here, and then off of that there is a very wide ramp that also leads to a pretty well protected third base. There is only one Vespene Geyser at your third base. It is not rich Vespene, and there are also only 6 mineral patches on your third base, so it's not that critical to take your third base, but it does help Zerg players a little bit. But a Terran player or a Protoss player running off of 2 bases should still be able to catch up just because of the limited gas and the limited resources at this third base. We now see a probe making his way out from Sase. So Sase now scouting in the clockwise direction. Will take a little bit of time before he comes across Goody's base. Meanwhile, Goody over here has set up a barracks, and not at his front door and not at the next choke point either. He may be trying to perhaps make another choke point here and make an artificial choke point with these Terran buildings as an SCV also makes its way out in order to do some scouting. It will also be scouting in the clockwise direction, and it will take a little bit of time before any of these players really know where each other are and what the strategies are going to be. Now on Tal'Darim Altar, there is a lot of room to maneuver, and there's a lot of wide open space in the middle. I haven't seen a lot of battles actually take place in the middle. They usually try to wander around the side. The middle is on this elevated platform, so it's very dangerous to try to walk up into an elevated platform that is so wide open, as a lot of units can end up dealing a lot of damage. And oh, there's a probe. The probe shooed away by that one Marine there. And now an SCV from Goody also on its way out, and will be able to quickly come up this ramp. The Cybernetics core is currently being warped in. We also have a gateway coming in, and I'm kind of curious as to what Sase is doing based upon his building placement. The building placements don't seem to indicate any true strategy just quite yet. We now have a Stalker coming out. It's not being chrono boosted, and he's not chrono boosting the warp gate research. So he's not going to go for any 4-gate as he's continuing to develop a very strong economy, now getting a pylon here. There is double gas though, so he could be trying to go in for higher tech, or he could be trying to get up a lot of sentries, but whatever it is, he's going to have to deal with Goody's infamous now 2 SCV, 1 Marine Marauder rush. That SCV now running away. The SCV may get taken down to 200 or down to 5 hit points there. The Stalker trying to get that final shot off, and there it goes. The Stalker does move a little bit more quickly, so he will now be down or short 1 SCV in this little bit of a push there. But because Sase didn't open up with an earlier Zealot, this may be a little bit more of an issue. He's going to have 2 Stalkers against a Marauder, a Marine, an SCV, and a second Stalker now coming in. There is 1 probe hiding around over here. There is an SCV now wandering around the map. Is he going to see this probe? Yes, he is going to spot the probe now and try to deal some damage onto that probe there, as now Marauders are coming out. There's going to be 2 Marauders and a Marine. With an SCV, the SCV is going to absorb some of that critical damage. The concussive shell has been researched, and now a probe coming out. That probe now needs to wander away as well. Now getting some damage onto that gateway. No, both sides. Probes now coming off from both sides as well. And how much damage will be dealt? The 1 Marine now taking damage. Those probes are just there in order to try to surround and perhaps slow down those Marauders. The Marauders now going after that poor SCV, or sorry, that poor Stalker. The Stalker is now getting stopped by a force field, but still able to keep on attacking. So both sides continuing to back off and continuing to fight. Apparently there's 16 observers in this game, so that is probably the reason why the game was lagging for just a little bit, as both sides now continue to fight. Marauder now battling it out. The Marauder's going to be able to finish off that 1 Stalker there. Down it goes, and now this Sentry may get kited and just get taken down to 31, 22 hit points. Needs 3 more shots. 1, 2, 3. There it is. 3 more Stalkers now coming in now that Warp Gate research has been completed. and Sase has the stronger army at this stage, as the Marauder now in full retreat. We do also have a starport coming in, and all of that aggression was off of one barracks. Yeah, a lot of aggression off of one barracks. One Marauder now pulling away. We have an SCV now pulling away as well, as an expansion is being set up by Goody. Goody really wants to get up an expansion now. He saw that the Nexus was being placed down here, so he knows that he cannot fall that far behind. We now have Sase running off of only 3 gateways, so it's a 3 gateway expand. There are 3 Stalkers and 3 Sentries now moving out, so it was almost a Sentry expansion, but not quite, as now an SCV is going to try to walk up this ramp, perhaps take some damage from those Sentries. No, not going to take the damage from the Sentries, as the Sentries, oh, double force field all the way to take down the SCV. So yeah, double force field stopping the SCV in its tracks. The Xel'Naga watchtowers here do not reveal that much sight here on Tal'Darim altar, and now just moving back and forth. Like SCV or Stalkers and Sentries just activating that Xel'Naga watchtower, going back and forth, and we are getting Banshees. Banshees, a very, very strong counter unit to 4-gate, but we already have an observer. We already have a robotics facility, which an observer should be trained out of in just a moment, and we already have an observer, so this is going to be double robotics facility production, which means a lot of Colossus. Colossus deal a lot of damage towards infantry. It's one of those critical units in the Protoss army, a very mobile, very strong unit that does a lot of splash damage as well. Very good at taking down a lot of low food units, low hit point units such as Marines, Reapers, and even Marauders to some extent if the Marauders are tightly packed together and the Marauders are attacking some other unit. Thus, the sheer damage output is very, very high. You can see now Goody is getting a siege tanks and now going for a missile turret at the front door. Also has an SCV looking at the back door area, wants to make sure that he does not get attacked from that backside. That is always a possibility and something you need to be aware of here on Tal'Darim altar. Siege tech has been completed, as now a Banshee will be flying straight into this back location here. We now have a second observer currently being trained, but that Banshee will get some kills, so probably in the realm of 5 or 6 kills already. Now getting up 1 kill, 2 kills, in comes a Stalker, 3 kills onto those probes already, 4 kills. And now continuing to just try to get more damage across multiple probes. How much damage can he deal? And now in comes a Guardian Shield as well. So the Guardian Shield going to protect some of those probes, and the Guardian Shield making it so that the Banshee needs to get off 3 shots in order to shoot it down. Is it 3 shots? No, it's still only 2 shots in order to do it. So not quite sure what that Guardian Shield was for, but that Banshee down to 20 hit points, needs to back off down to 20. Yeah, still down to 20. He was able to pull away just beyond the sight of the observer, even though you saw that last attack there. There is a Banshee now. The Banshee could have finished off or at least depleted the shields and gotten some damage onto that Immortal there, as we are now going into an armory and now a 3rd Nexus being built by Sase. Sase running off of 3 bases. He still doesn't have that many production buildings though. He's running off of 2 bases. He is going for double research with no Twilight Council in sight, and double research is very, very powerful for Terran. And there's that Twilight Council, as I wondered where it was. If he goes for level 2 weapons upgrade and level 2 armor upgrades, that should be able to absorb much of that damage that the Marines and the Marauders would try to do. The reason behind that is most Protoss units, I believe all of them except for a Probe and a Void Ray, has a base of 1 armor, also the Phoenix. And since the majority of Terran units are range attacks, Guardian Shields are very, very effective. That Banshee down over here did not get any kills at all. Guardian Shield plus Sentries were able to thwart that attack there. So if you take a look at the numbers, a 2 armored upgraded Stalker with Guardian Shield only takes 1 damage per attack towards the natural hit points from an unupgraded Marine. So it would take 100 attacks from a Marine in order for that Marine to shoot down a Stalker. Against a Sentry, it would also take 40 attacks to just try to shoot down that Sentry if it has that level 2 armor upgrades, which I believe it will. No, now going for shield upgrades. Okay, that's a new one. So now going for shield upgrades and a level 2 weapons upgrade, not going for the level 2 armor upgrades. So perhaps he's trying to make it so that the shields also absorb a little bit more damage, but as any Protoss player knows, ghost quickly deplete shields and make it very, very difficult. We also had the scanner sweep there, just denying that observer, and now a missile turret finally being placed down. Banshee hanging around by that one Zelnaga watchtower, Sase, and just trying to get some upgrades, also getting some hallucinations, and also getting some more Immortals and Zealot leg upgrades. So it's going to be fully upgraded Stalkers and Zealots as they try to move out. So Stalkers and Sentry and Observer off in that position there. A Stalker now coming back down over here as well. And now Sase looking very, very strong as he's able to just mine off of 3 bases. He should have about... I would have expected that he had a little bit of a higher income than that, probably in the 2,000 range. He should still be training up more probes, and once he gets into the 2,000 or in the 70 probe range, he should have an income of about 200 or 2,000 per minute compared to Terran, which is Goody, currently getting around 1,500. Hellions now on the move. Hellions do have the Infernal Pre-Igniter research, and most likely he suspects that there is an expansion already being set up here. There are pylons in the ready. The Hellions now looking for a new target. Will they be able to find that new target and deal damage? There is this expansion over here as well, but it is a little bit more difficult for the Terran player to try to establish unless he lifts off and takes into that location here. And now Sentry's going to get toasted by those Hellions, and now the Hellions looking to get some damage, but Stalkers with that blink able to zero in on that distance. And now Hellions coming along from this side, and these Hellions are going to get a lot of damage. Now getting a lot of damage onto those probes. Probes now falling left and right. Those Hellions have nowhere to run, but still have plenty of targets to hit. And now perhaps getting another Sentry kill there. 4 Hellions dealing a lot of damage, shutting down multiple probes at the natural expansion, and getting an additional Hellion to boot. So very, very nice, especially as Sase definitely needs to continue to research as much as possible, and he needs to rebuild those Sentries. Those Sentries were a critical part of his Terran strategy, as the Hellions now coming out and trying to get more damage, but Sase already has a large enough army to deal with that Hellion harassment, and those 4 Hellions didn't deal that much damage once again. Taking a look at Goody's army, Goody sitting at almost a 5,000 mineral army, 2,300 gas, has Vikings, has Banshees, has Thors, tanks, Hellions, SCVs. So this is a complete mech strategy rolling out from Goody, with Stevie the SCV trying to guide along these siege tanks and repair them in battle. Back over here, we now have a lot of probes trying to be transferred over. It looks like some of the probes were not transferred over from this location, just re-queued back up. A couple Zealots now down over here, and this front door will be knocked on in just a moment. Missile turret now being placed down. Vikings, Banshees. The Vikings there to most likely counter any Colossus. There are currently 2 Colossus as the Hellions, Sentries, and Stalkers now try to move out, quickly taking down that SCV, trying to build the missile turret, as the siege tanks are now sieging up to try to deal damage towards this natural expansion. More siege tanks now making the trip over into this location. The Banshee getting up to 8 kills now. Hellions running in, and Sase is in trouble. Those probes need to pull back. Stalkers trying to get in more damage as well, but there's so many units hiding off over here that it's going to be very difficult to try to even push out. Probes now being transferred to the natural expansion location, as there is a medevac with absolutely nothing in the base. Hellions look like they could deal more damage, and the Vikings now could also be trying to hunt down many of those Colossus. Level 3 weapons upgrade nearing completion, but the army, the sheer army size may be too much, especially as those siege tanks are already sieged up and in position. Siege tanks now starting to slowly push their way into this base now. Perhaps they'll be able to get even more damage in just a moment as they continue to push. And now we have the Vikings battling out against this Colossus. Colossus, even though it had level 3 weapons upgrade, still unable to battle back. Where are all the units, as the Hellions now trying to come in alongside over here? And now we are going to have some Void Rays, so Void Rays are going to absorb some of that damage as well. An EMP Shockwave depleting all the shields across multiple Immortals. And now those stores are getting taken down. Stalkers now trying to do a counter attack, counter push in once again. Siege tanks now back over here, not even engaging, as the Vikings now starting to battle it out. Both sides battling out. Stalkers getting them blinked, but they're blinking straight into that siege line there and absorbing even more damage once again. An Immortal trying to get some more damage, unable to do so. Vikings now in ground mode and able to finish off and just try to trade armies. 2550 versus 1775. Goody definitely on top now, as he was able to destroy this Nexus, able to get some probe damage over here, and now there's only 5 mineral patches left at the natural or at the far expansion, the 3rd base expansion. Vikings now going after those Colossus. Once again, the Colossi taking a fair amount of damage. Stalkers quickly blinking underneath. Those Vikings don't stand a chance against 3-2-1 upgraded Stalkers, but the Siege Tanks are now starting to roll in. Siege Tanks are upgraded 1-1. More units continuing to be trained as Goody just tries to simply attack move with Siege Tanks and continue his push at this time. There are Vikings in the air trying to finish off many of those Colossus. The Colossus are now getting their way into some of these Siege Tanks over here, and many of those Colossi are now very low on hit points. He has to be very careful, otherwise Sase is going to lose those. But no, the Siege Tanks going after those Stalkers instead. And now Goody is in trouble. Goody, pretty much who had the army advantage, now lost it as probes are now trying to run for their life once again. More Hellions trying to get more damage across multiple probes, but the Stalkers and Colossus able to finish that off. Goody using the opportunity to take up the 4th base at the 12 o'clock location, and now perhaps should try to re-macro up and regroup. Production-wise, you see a lot of Hellions, Vikings, Siege Tanks, and Ghost being trained. Compared to Sase, who only has Immortals currently being trained, SCV is now being transferred to the far expansion location. That planetary fortress should offer a large amount of protection against any Immortals and Stalkers, but Colossus with that range of 9 will be able to finish it off. In comes this one Hellion. Now the Hellion unable to get that much splash damage just because there are all the probes were scattered about. The Hellion only able to attack one probe at a time, as these probes now coming back in order to mine more minerals once more. Level 3 shield upgrades, level 3 armor upgrades, that are all that are left for the Protoss, or sorry, level 2 and level 3 shield upgrades, and level 3 ground armors, all that is left. Sase has half of the upgrades already, and perhaps if he pushes out, will be able to deal a lot of damage in just a moment. But Goody, who has been keeping up on top of his macro now, has a very large army of Siege Tanks and Hellions. If the Colossus are not careful, they're going to simply just get taken down by those stationary units. The Colossus perhaps going to try to come in from this side, get some damage here. They are high walking units, so they are able to get a lot of damage. In comes the Hellions once again, and the trees are now on fire, and Sase says good game. So Goody taking this game here on Tal'Darim Altar, just with massive mech play, using those Hellions, getting them across the map, and then just starting to trade his army for Sase's as he expanded and was able to get the lead. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Sase and Goody here on Tal'Darim Altar.